Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. My fellow XRP holders, we need to be honest with ourselves about what's going on with XRP. A couple days or so ago, my fellow XRP YouTuber, the Blockchain Backer, shared data from Electric Capital, which runs the website Developer Report, and shows, among other things, developer activity across various blockchains so that you can see what chains are being adopted. You come to all sorts of conclusions based on real-world data, which is highly useful. And he's the reason that I'm aware of this existing, and probably, honestly, most of the people in the XRP community that are aware of this know about it thanks to the Blockchain Backer. That would be my guess. And he's really done a great job in breaking down into the data, doing his best to come to conclusions. And I think it's fair to say, not to put words in his mouth, but having listened to him speak on this topic, it seems to me like a major takeaway is we need more developer activity. If you want XRP to be long-term viable, we need people building on this damn thing. Now, certainly, on a conceptual level, on an intellectual level, yes, duh, obviously, absolutely, I 100% agree. And I think it's easy for the vast majority of us to just say, yeah, of course. I do want to talk about the degree to which we are in serious peril or perhaps not. And I am very willing to be persuaded on this topic. I just want to progress the conversation. That's my hope with this video. I just want to progress the conversation and get people thinking. Are we in serious trouble now? Is the state of developer activity or lack thereof on the XRP ledger, is that the reason that the price of XRP is where it is? Is that why it's so low? Well, let's talk about these things, because there are some very good points made by the Blockchain Backer, and it spurred a lot of conversation on social media platform X, which is basically where the XRP community lives, and I enjoyed reading through a bunch of it. Way too much for me to highlight most of it, of course, in this video, but I'll share a couple posts just to kind of get things going in a particular direction. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. So, developer report. I'm assuming that at least some of you are aware of this site. Here you can see at the top left, and this is free. So any of you watching, if you just go to developerreport.com, you can see this data for yourself. You can poke around through it. It's interesting. I've looked through it a fair bit, and you can see that in the entire crypto space, out of everything that's tracked here, there are, as of the end of 2023 anyway, 6,889 full-time developers building on top of various blockchains. 6,889. And so I'm not going to read all of the chains, but if you're looking at the screen, you can kind of see I'm scrolling through here. You can see Ethereum's got the most developers by a long shot, 2,392, followed by Polkadot with 792, Polygon 790, Cosmos 669. And you can just kind of scroll down and see that the numbers quickly drop off. They drop off by a lot, very, very, very quickly. And, there's a question as I cited at the outset of the video, as to what degree does this matter? Well, I already know the Blockchain Backer has poked through a lot of the data and found that there is a correlation, a meaningful correlation in terms of developer activity and what that meant last market cycle in terms of price appreciation. Unquestionably, that's data. Of course, I agree with that. That makes all the sense in the world. So not disputing any of that, just to be super duper clear. I am going to be thinking out loud to some degree. So this is kind of a stream of consciousness. And again, totally willing to be persuaded on anything that I'm saying here, because this is early on in me thinking through this. Although I've spent a fair amount of time thinking through this. But let's note a few things that I want to share with you some thoughts. So if you look at full-time developers for Bitcoin, there are 356 full-time developers. 356. But then if you go to here, actually, let's look at Ethereum next. There's 2,392 developers. So obviously right there, you can already see that in terms of developer activity, that's not a perfect indicator as what's going to be as to what's going to be ranked high in price. So there are other things that obviously are being considered when it comes to price appreciation. And not all chains are going to do all things ever, obviously. And some chains, based on certain functionalities, are going to be able to do more things than others just by the nature of their code. Doesn't mean that that other chains that don't have such broad functionality can't be widely adopted necessarily. I mean, look at Bitcoin. It's basically only used as a store of value, but there are still lots of people actually building stuff on it. 356 of them. But this is where like the largest individual chunk of capital has flown into the world of crypto. I mean, look at Bitcoin's market cap at the time I'm recording this, $815 billion. Ethereum's is way less than that. Yet there's no sign that Bitcoin's going to be dethroned anytime soon, is there? Ethereum's market cap, $293 billion. So a little over a third of what Bitcoin's market cap is. But in terms of, again, the developer activity, it's not even close, with Bitcoin having 356 devs and Ethereum a staggering 2,392. And these are full-time developers, right? Now, is that really surprising, though? Does it mean that Bitcoin's going to be dethroned? Well, no. So there is more to the picture, obviously, even though I firmly believe that what the blockchain backer is saying is correct. There's nothing that would be, there's no way that it would be reasonable to deny that, right? But there's got to be more to it, right? Because otherwise, if we're just about developer activity, Bitcoin can't do much of anything. It's the least sophisticated layer 1 technology out there, yet it's number 1 in market cap. Okay, so there's something to be said for something for something when a technology when it becomes a standard. There's something to be said for staying power. And when technology is adopted, even if it's not crypto related, it's hard to supplant. If it's being adopted for specific things, it's hard to supplant that technology unless you have something that is substantially better, I would say. Just speaking in general terms, just conceptually. So wouldn't that apply to that concept also be something that would apply to everything out there? Wouldn't that apply also to Ethereum? Wouldn't it apply to XRP perhaps? Because XRP, here you can see, as of the end of 2023, 45 full-time devs, as opposed to Ethereum's 2,392. XRP's 45, though. Again, Bitcoin 356. So, I have some thoughts on this. First of all, it is true that recently we've seen a decrease in developer activity for XRP, although as of this report, which again is only to the end of 2023, it's mostly been moving sideways since call it February of last year. It looks like it's just kind of moving. The full time, if you look at the screen, you see what I'm talking about here. It's been up and it's been down, but it hasn't been substantially different. It's mostly been, for the last 12 months, mostly moving sideways. So technically down, I think, if you look year over year by a little bit. But you know what's fascinating about that? If you look at the percentage decrease, you can see that there are substantial declines on other chains too. In fact, if you take a look at Ethereum, for example, look, here shows the monthly active developers, right? Look at what happened in 2022. Decline, decline, decline. So what happened in 2022 though? The wheels fell off the car, right? FTX explosion, and you know what preceded all that. 2022 was a dumpster fire of a year in terms of price action, money flowing out of crypto, obviously funding drying up for all sorts of people working on various things. It's not terribly surprising to see a mass exodus, and we could talk about why this was, the first time we've ever seen a drop like this, because that is different. And I don't pretend to have the answer for that. I just note that it is different. But I also wanted to say, this is true pretty much across the board. You could find some outliers perhaps, but this dip it's not like XRP is taking an absolute beating, but it is down, and we do still need to be aware of this. And that's why I'm glad that we're having this conversation as a community, right? So it's down, but it was also a disaster of a year, and it doesn't mean that directionally is going to continue, that it'll continue to look specifically like that. And there are other things to consider. And which actually, let me just bring up Cardano. I wanted one more example. Here's Cardano. Smart contract functionality, 170 full-time developers. But still, what are they in market cap now? Number 8 in market cap. So all I'm saying is that although unquestionably developer activity plays a major role in price appreciation, it's not the only thing. And so the idea that I'm toying with here is, to what degree does it matter for XRP specifically? And look, to be clear, I want more developer activity for XRP and the XRP ledger. Anything we can do to amend the XRP ledger so that it has more functionality that's not going to risk its core competency as a payments blockchain, anything along those lines, I say yes, we should push, which is why I'm glad we're talking about this, and I'm glad that the blockchain backer brought this to the forefront of everybody's attention. And I love that he was pushing back against all the riddlers and the conspiracy theory nonsense, because that is the bane of my existence. Oh my God, I hate that stuff. I despise the conspiracy theory nonsense, and there are so many large influencers in the XRP community that like that's their bread and butter. And I just look at, I can't help but roll my eyes. It's just the most absurd crap. But my God, some people out there on social media, they just have massive followings pushing the craziest crap. That's not going to help us to have real world adoption. And we know that developer activity does matter. So is it better to focus on this or conspiracy theories? And that's one of the points I think the blockchain backer was making. Totally agree. Totally agree with that. He's absolutely spot on with this. But I wanted to point out that the XRP ledger, as you well know, I'm sure, does not have smart contract functionality. So shouldn't we expect, given that you can, because look, if there's a blockchain that has smart contract functionality, wouldn't you assume that there's infinitely more stuff that you can do in terms of building on top of that blockchain? You would expect that, right? So is it a surprise then that Bitcoin doesn't have that many devs? I mean, sure, it's got way more than XRP, but considering how much money has flown into it, the fact it's #1 in market cap, it doesn't have that many full-time developers, does it? I would say no, comparatively speaking. But then, you look at, in fact, if you look at that compared to market cap, XRP's smashing Bitcoin to pieces, actually. That's true. So then the fact that XRP has 45 full-time devs, is that actually looking too bad comparatively? No, it looks better than Bitcoin comparatively. Not that we want to be at the level of Bitcoin from a functionality perspective or development. That's not the point that I'm making. I'm just sharing thoughts here. I want to mention this before I forget it. I had a conversation with a Ripple employee who actually disputed this number, by the way. The employee that I spoke with said that this information is incorrect and that Ripple alone has more full-time employees working on the XRP ledger than is listed here at 45. So that is a question mark also. So I don't know exactly how the data is ascertained, but I had a Ripple employee directly tell me that no, there's way more. So I don't know to what degree this is off, if indeed that Ripple employee is correct, but I was told to my face, like, yes, that this is not a correct number. So in theory, it could be higher. Okay, just that's another question mark, because I don't know exactly what that means, or if the data is incorrect, why it would be incorrect. I don't have that answer. I'm just telling you what I was told. But again, if you're talking about, XRP having been adopted broadly across the world for over a decade, like there is such a thing as becoming a standard, as proven by the fact that Bitcoin is #1 in market cap. Could that be a factor for XRP? And I think it's a factor for every crypto. XRP has become a standard for certain things. It has been adopted. It has reached what you would call like a network effect. That's why Raoul Pal is always talking about, the network effect of not just Bitcoin, but ETH and XRP. Even he has said that. It's just you get this, you reach a certain place where it's just like the network's there, it's live. It's not getting smaller, exponential increase over time, and so the question is, have we really reached that? And probably, yeah. I mean, it's been over a decade here. The entities that are using XRP, I don't see there being danger of them not using it. But the question is, of course, is the money going to follow as a result? To what degree does it actually matter? And so there's also this this is a screen grab shared by XRP community member Calx, and it was a screen grab from blockchain backer stream here, and it's just showing which ecosystems drew in newcomers in 2023. And you can see Ethereum at the top here, and you can see XRP if you're looking at the screen way down here. And so it's a good point to make that, okay, it's kind of interesting. That's how many were drawn in, yet XRP is still #1 in market cap. So that's why I'm trying to figure out, how do you weight the importance? Obviously, developer activity is crucial. And I know XRP, again, developer activity recently slightly down, but the whole market is down, so is that XRP specific? I don't know, for sure. I mean, as things grow, like there's always opportunity to do better, of course. But to what degree, what I'm asking is, and I don't have the answer, is to what degree do we need to weight the importance of staying power once something is adopted? Is there a place for a cryptocurrency where even if on layer 1 it never has smart contract functionality, which would allow you to build a whole bunch of stuff if you did have it, is there a place for such a coin if it's just good at other stuff like payments? Because it looks to me like the answer is yes. It looks to me like the answer is yes, there's a place for a coin like XRP. So are we heading in the wrong direction? Look, over the past 10 years, I'd say no, we've been heading in the right direction on the whole. In the very short term, are we? Well, the whole market is. See, that's why I'm just asking. I'm not pretending to have the answers on this. This is why I want to spur on more conversation on this. And I'm glad we are talking about this. I really genuinely am. Here's perspective from XRP community member Panos, and he reposted this chart, which was from the blockchain backer, also shared by Calxier. And Panos, who I think is a rather insightful individual, he shares very thoughtful threads regularly on X, blogs, the whole 9 yards. Very well-informed individual, so I value his perspective. And here's what he had to say about this. XRP Ledger is an amazing technology with lots of features and developer-friendly, but unfortunately, that's not enough by itself. Some reasons for this, other than the misinformation and the damage it has done all these years, is also the lack of good marketing and exposure, incentives to attract new builders / projects / developers, and finally, useful apps and active users instead of passive holders. There are some great builders in the XRP Ledger ecosystem doing things, but we need more. I am confident that with a community and builders effort, and with upcoming features such as the AMM, EVM, sidechain, and more, we will make XRP Ledger one of the top chains and ecosystems. Totally fair. I think that's a good point. I want to add a couple things, because I did write back to him and shared some thoughts, but there are two things which I don't think I included in that comment, so I want to say it while I'm remembering them right off the top of my head. Number one, the price of XRP is what it is, despite the fact, well, largely because of the fact, that the SEC artificially suppressed it for years on end because of that BS lawsuit. I think that's very fair to say. And so I can't help but wonder to what degree were developers over that time period scared off. Not all of them were, obviously. For a long time, we were still heading in the right direction despite that. But undoubtedly, price obviously hit. Obviously hit. So that had to have impacted to some unknowable degree developer activity. Still impressive that XRP is where it is in market cap, despite that. Also, in terms of developer activity, I gotta wonder how many developers aren't even willing to look into it just because of Ripple's holdings, because that's something we can't control. Is that a turnoff for any reason for various potential XRP Ledger developers? So that's another question I've been having floating around in my head. I don't know if there's a way to know that. I don't know if we could do a bunch of surveys with developers perhaps, and maybe somebody could try and figure it out. That sounds like it would be a boatload of work. But perhaps that's a factor as well. Maybe not the most important factor, but something perhaps. But I still have a feeling that perhaps, and I could be wrong, but perhaps it's the case that the biggest reason we're seeing what we're seeing is because there isn't smart contract functionality. And so you can still build stuff, obviously, and you can have side chains, of course. But I'm wondering if perhaps, despite that being the case, and of course we all want more developer activity, and we should push for that and support that as a community, perhaps we need to consider the degree to which XRP's staying power is to some degree just planted in the system here. It's got the staying power because it was one of the first cryptocurrencies ever, and it's functionally useful. And maybe just because of the where it is right now and the degree to which there is developer activity now, perhaps that's enough to sustain it. Now, if that's not the case, if it's the case that developer activity is more than what I might be guessing right now, then yeah, XRP could fall out of the top 10. Now, it doesn't mean it would all go to zero. It's not like all these developers would stop, but it would stop being one of the most significant coins out there. And so the question is, do you want to risk that? Which is why I say, hell no. What we need to do as a community is what the blockchain backer was saying. He's spot on with this. And we need to have a discussion about this and support and encourage further development. Anything we can do. Now, again, we're still going to be handicapped to some degree if it's the case that my supposition is correct and most developers want to have smart contract functionality because there's just more stuff you can do on smart contracts platforms. That's something we can't help unless there's an amendment. If you get the hooks amendment passed, okay. Doesn't look like there's any sort of thirst for that. That's why we'd say Winwood off. Him running XRPL Labs and started the Zahao network, the sidechain. So it is what it is. And we'd say win, by the way. He did say that, and I'll have to paraphrase here, but he warned that if the XRP ledger doesn't adapt and get that smart contract functionality, that we're basically going to risk becoming the Nokia of blockchains. That's what he called it. And you know what happened with Nokia phones, right? And if you don't, then you're probably pretty young because you have an Apple, right? Or you got some sort of Samsung product, whatever it is. So that's a very reasonable warning. And I'm glad he said what he said. I don't have all of the answers, but I just wanted to use this platform to maybe spur along some conversation, just share some general thoughts here. But here's what I wrote to Panos. I wrote, I completely agree. I'll add that perhaps the biggest reason for fewer developers on the XRP ledger is that there is no smart contract layer 1 functionality. That notably limits what devs can build, and thus overall developer activity. That actually makes a lot of sense. However, there is clearly a place in this market for a blockchain like the XRP ledger and a cryptocurrency like XRP that is just really, really good at payments in general. XRP seems to have cemented a valuable niche in this regard, so to speak. And the blockchain just works. Even though I do believe that, I would agree with anyone who believes there should be a stronger push for greater developer adoption. And Panos responded to me and didn't completely agree, which is perfectly fine. Just to be clear to anybody listening, if you're newer, I do not get offended by ideas that are different than my own. You can tell me you're wrong, and as long as you're being tactful, I will appreciate that you're telling me that I'm wrong in an adult fashion. And I like conversation. I even think debates are fun. I don't like arguments, but debates are fun. You can tell me I'm wrong all day, as long as everybody's being civil. Like, that's the right way to do it. We should be adults. Anyway, Panos wrote to me and said the following. I wouldn't say it's the lack of smart contracts as it is that most blockchain developers don't even have a clue about XRP Ledger and its features. XRP Ledger might not have native smart contracts, but it has built-in SC features without the risk of them, which makes building specific apps around payments or tokenization a lot easier and straightforward. When I personally talk to non-XRPL devs, they don't even know that it has a DEX, decentralized exchange, or that you can create tokens, or even in what language you can write code. Yeah, and so I think that's insightful and fair enough point as well. Just because XRP Ledger doesn't have layer 1 smart contract functionality, it doesn't mean that it can't be better at certain building if you build certain things on top of it as compared to Ethereum. That's obviously true. My only point in talking about focusing so much on the smart contracts is that I still do think you can do more stuff if you have that functionality. But of course, yeah, I agree with him. You could certainly, undoubtedly, as he cited here, build certain things. It would be ideal for it. That be better than certain other smart contract platforms, and it may very well be the case that not enough developers know about that. So how are we going to get the word out? How do we even reach the developers? Because there are so many people building on various blockchains around the planet. They don't even announce themselves for a long time until they built a product. How do we reach these people anyway? And that I'm curious about as well. I don't have the answer for that. Again, I'm just trying to spur conversation here. This is what we should be talking about, obviously. And so as far as whether or not he's right about smart contracts not being the biggest deal, I admit I'm not 100% sold on my own idea. I think it might be the biggest reason for this. Not 100% sold, though. I'm willing to be persuaded. Show me some data. I can be persuaded. If anyone can show me data that indicates that most of the developer activity out there doesn't have to do with smart contract functionality, anything to that degree, I would quickly be persuaded. But my supposition, without seeing data, admittedly, without seeing data, is that a large chunk of the stuff being built will require smart contract functionality. So I don't know if anybody has that data anywhere. I haven't seen it. I don't even know where to look for that. But if somebody has that, I'd be super curious to see it, because that would kind of answer the question. Either XRP is going to always be behind because it doesn't have that capability, or it won't matter as much perhaps as I'm thinking, in which case, yeah, we need to get the word out there. But I can't answer those questions because I'm lacking data. That's what I'm saying here. So in terms of price action, I'll word it like this. I'm not concerned in the immediate future, like say over the course of this bull run in particular that we've got coming up here. The developer activity, it is there. XRP is a fixture in the world of crypto today in 2024 at the time I record this. Maybe that changes in the future, falls out of the top 10. I hope not, but okay. But I don't see enough to think without additional data, I can't say for certain to what degree things are horrifically wrong or not horrifically wrong. That's the best way I could word it off the top of my head. I need more data. But that's why, again, I want us to talk about this further, and I need to hear what you guys think about this. What am I getting right? What am I getting wrong? Am I on the right track, at least in terms of the way that my brain's trying to think through this? You guys let me know here. But to be clear, I'm still Mr. XRP Bull. Like, that has not changed. It has been genuinely adopted. There are real people building real things. And there's always... and all the sidechain, there's so much potential out there. And given that XRP is already a fixture in this space, if you're going to draw new attention to a blockchain, it should be easier for our community to do that, because we are composed of like an untold number of people, potentially in the million. I don't know how many people are in our community, but we are a gigantic force. We are a huge community. If anybody can draw attention to the platform, not that I know the right way to do that right now, but if any community can do it, it's us. We are a huge community, absolutely gigantic. There's a reason XRP is where it is, because we're aware of this stuff. We're aware of what's going on. So I'll just leave it there for now. Let me know what you guys think. Again, like I was asking a minute ago, do you think I'm on the right track? Am I not? What are your own personal opinions? But whatever you think, I hope that you appreciate that the blockchain backer really got this conversation started, because this is what we should be talking about. XRP unquestionably is way behind in terms of developer activity. It's just a question of to what degree is that a problem and what can we do to fix it. In a nutshell, I suppose that's it. And those are the things we should be talking about. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.